Hi, and here we are doing another brick wall chat, except I'm not standing in front of my brick wall. I'm standing in front of paintings that I have recently finished or worked on over the fall, and doing it from a different location in my apartment and not in front of the wall. Anyway, and I don't know what number this is. I'll have to figure that out when I post it. But I wanted to do this video and stand in front of these paintings because I wanted to talk a bit about my process and how I have transformed my consulting practice over the fall and winter so far, from 2020 into 2021. And really most of it happened in late in the last part of 2020. Anyway, I stand in front of these paintings. I started out end of August, beginning of September. A friend of mine had challenged me to use my own process to get unstuck. I was feeling stuck with my consulting practice and frustrated, and had pivoted and pivoted and pivoted and learned and iterated and picked up bits and pieces of information and knowledge and made changes, but really hadn't solved the problem of how to move forward. Partly because of I need to move forward differently, and I knew that partly because of the pandemic, but also because of my move to Germany, to Berlin 5 years ago. And things really hadn't fallen back into place after I had settled here. And so, yeah, this friend of mine challenged me to use my own practice and do that. So that's what I did. I started out with the first painting. I wrote the question about how to attract people to my consulting on the canvas and started painting. And this is a painting down here without that piece on it. I see if I can show you that. I'll try and get another better video later. I'll explain that piece on top later on. And that's the one I posted a picture on not on Facebook, on LinkedIn at one point in September, October, and posted a bit about that, and that I was using it as a process to transform my consulting. And so I did that, and when I showed it to my friend that had challenged me and showed him, how I had cut it and sewn it back together, and I said something about, when I cut the spiral out of it, that it was disemboweled. and I laughed. Maybe I shouldn't have laughed, but I have a bit of a dark, warped sense of humor, dry sense of humor, and I thought that was funny. And he reacted in a bit of horror, and he's, but that's what you do your clients. I'm like, yeah, but I put it back together. And when I put it back together, it looks better than it looked before. It's bigger, stronger, better for having the scars and being sewn back together. And he's like, yeah, but your clients are afraid of that. I'm like, but I put it back together. I'm really good at putting it back together. I like putting it back together. I like the challenge of that. And he just kind of shook his head at me. I'm like, I know, I get it, but at the same time, it's who I am, and it's my approach, and that's why I do the projects that I do and the work that I do. But I finished that painting and realized I hadn't really answered the question that I had started out. So I moved on and started a second painting to answer the questions that had come up out of the first one that seemed to be needing to be answered. And so I worked through those. And this is the second painting is down here. Again, I'll move that out of the way. So that's let me see. That's the second one. And it dealt with some more personal problems that I had around attachment and feeling rejected and things. So it was a much more sort of personal one, but it helped me identify that I had this attachment to my consulting practice that I don't have in my paintings. Because when I share my paintings with people, they like them or they don't, they buy them or they don't, and I don't care. I honest to God don't care. I like doing them. I do them for me. If people like them and want to buy them, that's great. I'm happy to send it to you, or send it on its way with you. If you don't like it, that's fine. I get it. They're not representational. They're not landscapes. They don't look like anything. They're paint on a canvas. It's definitely not for everybody, and that's fine. But I have a different kind of attachment with my consulting practice because I've spent a lot of time and effort going to school and doing courses and studying and writing exams and writing papers and speaking at conferences. And I have a lot of attachment to my consulting practice and the work that I do, because I've spent so much time and effort learning and sharing and reading books and doing all this studying and things, and years in school and things. And so I have a much bigger attachment to it. And I needed to get to a point where I had the same kind of lackadaisical feeling with the consulting practice as I did with my paintings. And so I needed to recognize I needed to get to a point that I could offer my consulting services to someone and they go, nope, not for me, I'm not interested, it doesn't fit with what we're doing, what we need, and be okay with that, even though I might have had a different opinion based on what they had told me. So that was the second painting, and helped me sort of let go of that feeling about being rejected. But when which was great and was certainly transformational on a personal level, I got to the end of that and realized I still hadn't answered the question, and there were still more questions that had come up. And so that was the third painting, was working through those, and it's down here at the end. And I was trying, let me see, I don't know, there you kind of maybe get a sense of that. Trying to put that together and figure that out and see what made sense and answer the questions that had come up out of the first one and the second one that hadn't got answered. And I realized I needed to take my head out of the equation and just send out the messages and make connections with people and just let it go and not have the attachment to it and just send it out into the world. And if it came back, it came back, and if it doesn't, it doesn't, and that's fine. And so that helped it helped. And through that process, I was paying attention to the people that I was meeting and the events I was going to and the people I was talking to, and came across someone that had a tool and a process that they were using for their lead generation that really piqued my interest. And when I looked into it and started using it, it took my brain out of the equation. So I stopped overthinking the people that I was connecting to and trying to connect to and potentially sell services to, although I'm not a hard sell person at all. And so this tool and this process took my head out of the equation, and I could just send the LinkedIn invites out and explain why I wanted to connect. And if people accepted my connection request and then a follow-up message with a virtual coffee, that was great. And if not, that was great too. And I started really get people interested in talking to me about what I was doing and how I was helping organizations and all of the complexity of what I do, which was great. And I ended up before Christmas, of the weeks leading up to Christmas, I had 5 different speaking opportunities and workshops to share this work with people, and it was all through these little tweaks and little things that I paid attention to, because I kept an open mind through the process of doing these paintings and recognizing what my blocks were and talking to people and sharing that and just being curious through talking to people that I found these solutions to, taking my head out of the equation and stop overthinking my lead generation activities. And so it was really exciting. And I'm going to, just before I move on, this canvas that I have attached, to all 3 of the paintings, the first 3 paintings. It's actually a 4th painting. I counted it as a 4th painting. I cut it apart. Was the idea that what tied those first 3 paintings together was questions. And that's what tied my process together, was just this constant questioning and being curious and having an open mind. And so that's why it got attached around that. What I realized, though, out of finishing those, I'm going to say 4 paintings, was I still didn't have an answer to this question I had started out with. And so I didn't realize that until I was going to hang those 3 paintings up with the 4th one cut up over top of it. And the spot where I'm standing in front of now, I was going to hang the 3 of them, and I realized it's not done. I thought it was done. My brain and my analytical part of me said it was done, but it wasn't done. And this is when I painted the 5th one and final one, which is big and yeah, you get some flare off of the light bulbs because I'm standing in the hallway. But you can see that. And what I realized in doing that and creating that was, it was just a curiosity about what am I missing? What's not coming up? What haven't I resolved? What still is a blockage for me? What still is keeping me stuck? And what came out of it was the idea that somehow the things that I wanted for my consulting practice, for myself, I didn't feel that I was allowed to want them. And so that was the second painting, or the 5th painting. I'm losing track of my paintings. The 5th painting. And that was, I did some work on it and thought about it and talked with it. Like I said, I talked to the paintings all the time. And then it just stopped. I didn't have the time to reflect. I was so busy with these other things, the virtual coffees and the presentations and the workshops I was doing. I just didn't have time. And so I left it some space rather than trying to force it in. It needs some space. I recognize that. I've been painting long enough and doing this work long enough that I knew it just needed some space to think and to percolate and to let other things fall into place and me figure it out. And so in the end, this last one came together really quickly. Despite this, there was a 3-week gap in any kind of work on it. I think it was 3 weeks, 3 or 4 weeks maybe. But then it came together all very quickly in a couple of days, and it was about being seen and not being afraid of being seen. And so that's pushed me to again take another step with my lead generation and business development and the consulting that I do, and not being afraid of being seen and not being afraid of being thought that I'm silly or stupid or don't know what I'm talking about, because I do know what I'm talking about. I've been doing this for almost 30 years. I have a lot of experience and a lot of education, a lot of practical experience. None of this is a silver bullet, but because I don't think there is no such thing as a silver bullet, but we need to find balance, and it's about recognizing what we need at each step of the process and evaluating and asking that question and just being curious and open-minded and being analytical sometimes and being less analytical or not analytical at all and creative the other times. And so I hung this whole series up over Christmas or the holidays when I was off taking some vacation, and I'm so happy with how it all looks together. And like I say, I'm going to take another video of this and try and capture it better. And I've taken some photos, so I'll share those too. But it feels complete now, and it feels like I've answered the question about how do I get unstuck and how do I move forward, and what is it that I want. What I want is to do more of what I have been doing more workshops, talking to more people, finding the people that are interested in the work that I'm doing and think that it would fit for them on a personal level and on an organizational level. And help their organizations get unstuck and keep them moving forward in a different way. And the best part is I can do it all virtually. Because that's what all the little pivots and all the little trials and things that I've done over the last 9 or 10 months, since the lockdown started last March, I guess 10 months, all the bits and pieces that I have learned has made it that I know I can do this. And because I've done it virtually and have a lot of fun and have some results. And just as a final thought, from these sessions that I did over the fall, these 5 sessions, I had feedback from a few people that wanted to reach out and share the results of what happened from these sessions, whether it was a 45-minute kind of introductory session that we just did a guided meditation and a scribble drawing, or whether it was a 2-hour workshop that we did as a bigger kind of peek or window into what this work does and what it means. But people came back and said from the guided meditation how calming and how centering it was. One person had lost their mother a few months earlier, and the process of doing the guided meditation, just a 3-minute guided meditation, but the process of that guided meditation had allowed her some peace for the first time in several months after her mother's death, which really touched me. I have to say that the simple little guided meditation had that kind of impact on someone. The scribble drawings, people came back and said, they had been trying to figure out a branding for their business, and through the process of the scribble drawing, finally had an insight and a design for their branding. Again, unexpected, but wow, what a breakthrough. And another similar person, there's a similar thing with someone else, that through the process of the scribble drawing, she'd had this insight and was going to allow her to make some changes that she had been struggling with. So it's really powerful work if you let it be, if you keep an open mind and just are curious and try it out. So this has been a really long brick wall chat. I'm sorry for that, but hopefully you've stuck it out till the end and found this story interesting. And thanks very much for joining me today. Happy New Year, because I'm saying this is the middle of January, so I can still say Happy New Year. And I hope that the year is great. Thanks. Bye. Okay, so I'm going to try and do a little video here for you of the paintings. So this is the first one on the bottom, and I'm going to move that out of the way and see if I can get it. So that's the first painting, and then that's the piece that goes on top. This is the second painting. And that's the piece that hangs on top. That's about the pieces about questioning. The paper clips, by the way, are just about putting pieces together and putting things together, but also taking them apart when they need to be taken apart. So it's not permanent like a staple or a binding. And this is, let me take from this side. This is the third painting. So, and then, like I said, this piece on top was the fourth. So, and that was about questions and, what tied the whole thing together. So that's the fourth. And then this top one is the fifth one is about working through the sort of the desire issues and that it's okay to want the things that I want and to have the things that I want. And so this dot thing, this red dot, is about being seen, and that it's all right to be seen and it's desirable to be seen. And so that was, quite, the whole thing was quite a transformational process, I will say. And I'm really pleased about it. So I hope you've enjoyed this video. Now the whole thing is about almost 20 minutes long, but I hope you've stuck with it and enjoyed it and found it interesting. Thanks. Bye.